On the eve of the NATO summit in July, Western leaders are negotiating a response to Ukraine's calls to offer it a clear plan for joining the alliance after the war. According to NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg, there are three important elements the allies intend to give Kyiv. In the practical dimension, a long-term package to help its transition to NATO doctrines and equipment standards, and the political route, the finalization of the Ukraine-NATO Council agreement. We are talking about an enhanced format of cooperation.
Allies are working on a multi-year package of assistance for Ukraine. We are also working to establish a new NATO-Ukraine Council to jointly consult on security issues of mutual concern. The decisions we will take in Vilnius will bring Ukraine closer to NATO.
At the same time, NATO does not allow the war in Ukraine to end on Russia's terms. In the meantime, the allies are negotiating measures to ensure Ukraine's security so that Russia cannot rearm and attack again.
Last year, President Putin sent hundreds of thousands of troops into Ukraine, causing death and destruction. Ukraine has the right to liberate its own land, and a counteroffensive is now underway. The more land the Ukrainians are able to liberate, the stronger their hand will eventually be at the negotiating table. We all want this war to end, but a just peace cannot mean freezing the conflict and accepting a deal dictated by Russia.
More than 24 countries have already signed a declaration in favor of Ukraine joining the alliance. Le Monde newspaper says France is ready to support Kyiv on its way to NATO. In particular, the country's policy on Ukraine's integration into Euro-Atlantic structures was the leading topic of the Defense Council meeting at the presidential Élysée Palace in June.
The way President Emmanuel Macron has recently spoken about Ukraine and NATO may suggest that France is more inclined to want the Ukrainians in NATO, a desire most clearly expressed by the leaders of Central European and Baltic states. From an article in Le Monde.
In late May, at a security forum in Bratislava, the French president spoke of the need to include Ukraine in Europe's robust security architecture.
That is why this will be discussed in the weeks leading up to the Vilnius summit, and I am in favor of providing substantial and powerful security guarantees to Ukraine for two reasons. Ukraine protects Europe today. It gives Europe security guarantees. The second reason is that there is so much military equipment in Ukraine right now that it is in our interest to extend security guarantees.
According to the Speaker of the Ukrainian Parliament, Ruslan Stefanchuk, Kyiv plans to receive an invitation to join NATO following a similar scenario to Finland and Sweden. In particular, members of the alliance were then in favor of the accession of the two countries through an accelerated procedure without the obligatory step of fulfilling the NATO membership action plan. The proposal to cancel it for Kyiv first came in June from NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg at a meeting with US President Joe Biden in Washington. Earlier, the Secretary-General of NATO held talks with the alliance's leaders to reconcile their positions. He also took part in a meeting of defense ministers, including Ukraine. The result will be clear after the July summit. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Христина Домбровська, UATV News.